Hello, everyone. Welcome to the DI 101 webinar series. My name is Lindsay John, and I'm a marketing specialist for TopBuild's family of companies, including Distribution International. If you're new to the DI 101 webinar series, it is a resource created for DI customers, partners, and associates. By collaborating with manufacturers and industry experts, these webinars provide valuable insights into trends, new technologies, and product applications across the industry. At Distribution International, we offer products and solutions from many manufacturers across multiple categories. This webinar is one example of how we partner with leading manufacturers to bring customers information about quality products and solutions. This does not represent an endorsement of one manufacturer or brand over another. We're excited today to welcome 3M for today's presentation, Build Smarter with 3M Fire Barrier Solutions. Today's session will explore innovative solutions to help meet evolving fire protection requirements and design considerations. Today, we have with us Samantha Peterson, Zachary Vaughn, and David Glover, as well as John Dyer. We are proud to have these industry experts with us today and thank them for sharing their time and knowledge. We will field questions at the end of the webinar. To submit your questions, please use the Q&A tab at the top Teams control panel. And you can send them at any point during the presentation and we'll address those questions at the end. Without further delay, I will turn this over to the 3M team.
Awesome. Thank you, Lindsay. Thank you for having us. It's great to be here. I'm very excited to share with you all a little bit about our portfolio of our 3M fire barrier solutions, specifically our mats and wraps. So we can go ahead and go to the next slide. This is just a little bit of legal mumbo jumbo saying this is 3M material. We don't have to dive too deep into it. So like Lindsay said, if you have any questions, go ahead and put them into that Q&A button up there, and we will do our best at the end with any remaining time to answer those. Next slide. Our training objectives today are to increase your awareness of the portfolio of 3M FireStop solutions, to gain knowledge of 3M fire protection products used in flexible wrap applications, to understand the standards and ratings for grease ducts, HVAC ducts, and electrical circuitry protection, to select the appropriate flexible wrap system for specific applications, and how to present solutions to your customers by applying system nomenclature to wrap systems correctly. Next slide. A little bit about your 3M presenters today. You'll be hearing a lot from the amazing Samantha Peterson. She's been on our team for over 8 years at this point, so a wealth of knowledge. Hails from Wisconsin, went to school here in the Twin Cities, and then you also have myself for a little bit of the time, Zach Vaughn. I have been on the team for a little over 6 months, so while I'm still learning a lot about what 3M has to offer, I've spent a good amount of time in the construction world, actually figuring out what to install and making sure that the installers are doing what they need to do correctly. And a little fun fact about us is we both have a child turning 1 today. So Samantha's daughter and my son are the exact same age, 1 year old. All right, next slide, please. So let's define fire protection a little bit. There's 4 main categories. First one being education, so that whole stop, drop, and roll we all learned growing up, all the signs that you'll see around evacuation routes, that all falls under education. Then we have detection, which will be those smoke detectors and fire alarms. And then there is suppressive or active. That is going to be the fire sprinklers in your fire department that's coming out to put out the fires. And then where we fall into is going to be the bottom right category, containment or passive. Next slide, please. So what exactly is FireStop? It is containment and compartmentalization. A building is divided into separate compartments via fire-rated floors and fire-rated walls, along with fire and smoke barriers. So the goal of FireStop is to confine a fire to a specific zone or region where that fire originated from for a specific amount of time. We want to prevent those fires from spreading through a fire-rated wall, floor, ceiling, anything like that. So this increases evacuation time for occupants to get safely out of the building, and it will minimize damage and give the fire department as much time as possible to get there for the fire, to put it out and control it before it spreads. Next slide. The fire stop systems. What is a fire stop system? Well, it is a complete tested assembly that prevents the passage of flames, smoke, and other toxic gases through penetrations, joints, and other weaknesses in fire-rated walls, floors for a specific amount of time. So basically, you have a wall or floor that is rated to a certain amount of time, and when there is either a seam or a hole put into that, it derates that wall or floor, and our products help fill those gaps and re-rate those floor, bring it back to its original fire rating. So the good thing to remember, very important, that products alone do not carry that rating, only the fully tested and listed system does. So very, very important fact to remember there. Next slide. We can move on. Thank you. So 3M has a wide array of systems and products. We have over 1,000 tested and listed systems at this point in time. These systems cover through penetrations, construction joints, and like today we'll dive into a bit more is the protective wrap systems. And those cover lots of different industry trades. So drywall, electrical, HVAC or mechanical, and plumbing, just to name a few. Next slide, please. A little bit of overview of the market itself. The estimated market size is around 480 million for fire stop. And why is fire stop important? Well, it's life safety, number one. We want to give people as much time as possible to get out safely of a burning building. We want to minimize any damage, so keeping that fire in one place as long as possible. And it's because of that, it's all required by building code for many types of buildings. And these buildings will include commercial construction, such as high rises, multifamily housing, hospitals, nursing homes, assisted living facilities, factories, stadiums, casinos, educational facilities, such as dormitories, just to name a few. Next slide, please. All right. 4 different main technologies that our products use. Number 1 being insulative. So this is our main ticket for our wraps. It basically just insulates, preventing fire from spreading to combustibles. We have intumescent. A lot of our products will expand and char during a fire to fill open voids and spaces. We have endothermic. So our mats are endothermic because as fire intensifies, chemically bound water is released to combat the spread of the heat and flame. And we also have ablative, which as the fire intensifies, those products will form a char to thermally insulate. Next slide, please. Primary areas of containment, one being those through penetrations and membrane penetrations. So anytime something such as a pipe, wire goes through a rated floor or ceiling, those need to be fire stopped per a listed system. We also have construction joints, so those seams between walls or floors, or walls and walls, or floors and floors. We use products to continue that fire rating between those 2 assemblies. And then today our focus is going to be on those protective wrap systems. And at this point, I will pass it over to Sam for the rest of our webinar.
All right. Thanks, Zach. Like he mentioned today, that was an overview of the overall 3M fire barrier solution portfolio. Today, we're focused on our protective wrap systems, as that is where we primarily partner with DI today to source solutions for the industry. So we'll start with our insulative wraps. And where are those primarily used in buildings? They're used to prevent fire from either entering a duct or from a fire exiting from the duct to protect the rest of the building. They're also used as a part of through penetrations that can contain a duct. So as that duct is routed through the building, they can be used in plenum spaces to protect combustible materials from spreading toxic fumes and gases during a fire event. And they can also be used to achieve what is called a T rating, or limiting the temperature transmission from one building compartment to another. So we have 3 different types of wraps that are used as different SKUs for those different applications. We have duct wraps, we have dryer ventilation wraps, and plenum wraps. So we'll go through those products one at a time. So our primary duct wrap product is the 3M Fire Barrier Duct Wrap 615 Plus. It is used for both commercial kitchen grease ducts and for large ventilation air ducts that are routed through commercial buildings. It's a 6-pound per cubic foot density, and it's 1.5 inches thick to help provide a space-saving and easy application. And we'll get into a few more details on those applications later. But the 2 main areas, if you're looking at grease ducts, you're typically going to apply 2 layers of material and 1 layer of material for any ventilation duct applications. The 3M Fire Barrier Dryer Ventilation Wrap is a 1/2 inch thick insulative wrap that's used primarily for multifamily residential type settings. So it's for dryer exhaust, bathroom exhaust, and domestic kitchen ventilation. So this is limited to smaller size ductwork, both round and rectangular. So think about your 4 by 10 inch rectangular ducts routing through your multifamily residential settings, or those, somewhere between 4 and 7 inch round ducts being routed through that wood frame construction that you see. We also have the 3M Fire Barrier Plenum Wrap 5A Plus, and we'll talk a little bit about those plenum wrap applications later. But again, this is a specific product for those plenum areas. As I mentioned earlier, we will discuss those insulative wrap application areas, and we'll start with grease ducts. So why would grease ducts require fire protection? Well, it should come as no surprise to anyone on the call today that buildings, especially eating and drinking establishments that have kitchens, the primary source of fires in those establishments are caused by the cooking equipment, because that's where they got hot. A case study from back in 2011 found that at the Wynn Casino, there was a fire event in one of the restaurants. Thankfully, the exhaust equipment that was servicing the piece of kitchen equipment that caught on fire was protected correctly, and it resulted in no injuries, no closures to the equipment, or no closures to the floor space of the casino at all. And the only thing that was ended up being damaged and had to be shut down was the restaurant's pizza oven. So when things are protected properly, it does perform its intended purpose, save lives, save the spread of fire throughout the building, and help meet the intent of the building codes. So for grease ducts, our flexible wrap systems are designed to help contain a grease duct fire. So that's preventing the spread of fire originating from that kitchen equipment going through the building. It can also help prevent building fires from entering into the duct and spreading that way. It helps maintain the structural integrity of the duct itself. It's also a lightweight and flexible solution that also saves spaces. As I mentioned before, it's a 2-layer solution that's tested to the code referenced ASTM E2336 grease duct standard. And it's used to provide protection when there are combustible materials within 18 inches of that kitchen duct, or when you have that grease duct routed through a building, and as soon as it penetrates that rated assembly, it then must be protected from that penetration to the exit of the building. So traditionally in building code, before the approval of flexible wrap solutions, gypsum shafts were the primary protection. However, those shaft enclosures take up a lot of space in the buildings. And anytime you're dealing with building space being used for utilities and not for operable space, that is a space saver and a cost saver from the construction standpoint as well. So in comparison, a 18-inch by 18-inch grease duct, a shaft requires about 22.5 square feet of space for that solution, whereas the fire barrier 615 duct wrap only uses about 4 square feet of space after the wrap is applied. So that's 80% less square footage than the shaft solution, which is a big value to the building team. Just a quick reference, you don't need to memorize these numbers because your sales specialists in your area are available to help you find these solutions, as well as 3m.com/firestop. So we have listed solutions for both rectangular and square ducts, as well as round ducts for grease duct application. And one item to note as well is in terms of total solutions for your customers, not only will they need the duct wrap material itself for these applications, but pinning and banding are also additional accessories that will need to be sourced for the customer to correctly apply these products. So that was grease ducts. Let's switch over to ventilation air ducts. And another quick case study here is that if there is a building fire, it's important to note that the leading cause of death in a building fire is not the fire itself, but actually the inhalation of smoke. So keep in mind that when you're moving air throughout your building, it's important to make sure that the air itself is being safely routed through the building and circulated through the building. And you want to make sure that it can be a long time before, especially when you're talking about large structures and high rises, that building evacuations do take quite a bit of time and to properly protect your systems that are required. So for ventilation ducts, you're looking to protect the system to help insulate the duct itself as it's routed through the building and could be exposed to the fire. Our solutions help maintain the integrity and the stability of the duct itself. A couple of code items to keep in mind are that currently both the ISO and ASTM standards for duct protection are not directly referenced in code. Code does actually not have a standard test method adopted, but for the IBC, building code officials have the authority to accept these types of fire tests and solutions. Typically, when you're looking at ventilation ductwork, the protection only requires one layer of material, and it can provide a significant labor savings to the building team. And we have our R value there, but the key is that to know that the 615 plus solution meets the International Energy Conservation Code requirements for insulation of ductwork. Again, we have multiple listings available for your customers' use and reference. We have listings both with Intertech for 1 and 2 hour round and rectangular protection, as well as multiple listings available through UL. And one item to keep in mind with the UL listings is that when ducts are routed close to either a wall or a floor, you can wrap the duct as called a 3-sided or 2-sided wrap enclosure. So that way you're not having to have access all the way around the full perimeter of the duct, but you can encapsulate the duct with the wrap on just the sides that are exposed. Moving on to chemical fume ducts. So if you're doing works on universities or large industrial applications, you may come across these instances of chemical fume ducts. And the code does not allow dampers to be used. So then you're limited to typically a shaft. However, not all shafts or not all buildings are built to incorporate the space needed for a shaft. And so 3M provides additional listings for chemical fume ducts as well. Have a couple of examples here. Again, this is not a directly code specified area, but it is an area where the authority having jurisdiction is able to look at what the system claims and has been tested to, and is often able to provide a code alternative solution for the building application. For insulative wraps, now we look to our plenum spaces for our next area of opportunity. So the plenum application is going to be where you have a plenum space, which is an enclosed section of the building. So it's not an occupiable area. Oftentimes this is above a drop ceiling that's in place. And the code does not allow combustible items. So think wires, plastics, plastic pipes, anything of that nature to be installed in those plenum spaces without appropriate protection to prevent the smoke or the ability for smoke to be generated in those areas. So that is where our 3M fire barrier plenum wrap comes into play. We have tested that product encapsulating those combustible items such that it limits the amount of smoke and flame that's generated in that scenario to comply with the building code requirements. So when you see that there's a plenum space in a building project, or you hear about it, or if some of your customers come to you and say, hey, we have a project where we need plenum protection, 3M Fire Barrier Plenum Wrap is your product for that application. Again, we have multiple listings. This is just one example where our Plenum Wrap 5A product is wrapped in one layer around a combustible pipe, and that will provide the code required protection for that application. The final application we'll talk about today is the through penetration temperature requirements. It's often referred to as a T rating. So when you have metal penetrants or metal utilities being routed through your building, from a fire perspective, those are likely to transmit heat from one side of a fire rated assembly to another. And our 3M Fire Barrier Duct Wrap 615 Plus can be used to install, or can be installed on a limited basis to provide the T rating for those metallic penetrants where the code requires. So here we have a couple of pictures. One, the left picture being a floor drain application, and the right picture being a metallic pipe penetrating through a floor. We have multiple listings available for this application as well. So that covers it for our insulative wrap products. We'll now move over to our 3M interim endothermic mat. So this is, again, another product that you'll be wrapping or encapsulating different building systems, but instead of just insulating and preventing the transmission of heat from one side of the wrap to the other, our endothermic mat actually releases chemically bound water to cool the item that is protected inside of the mat. Some features and benefits of our 3M Interim Endothermic Mat. It's often referred to as EMAT in the industry. It's easy to install, especially when you're comparing it to spray applied materials. There's no prep work. It's re-enterable, so you can cut it away and reinstall the pieces. It's flexible and can be applied to various shapes and sizes. It can be used, it's also very versatile, used in interior and exterior applications, and you can adjust the level of protection provided just by adding layers. And then it's actually ideal for electrical systems, which we're seeing more and more need for in the industry, because it allows at low temperatures that heat to dissipate, which is again ideal for ampacity derating. So you're able to allow your electrical systems to continue to operate as they're originally intended. Designed for harsh environments, it's actually tested to UL 2431 to endure heavy industrial outdoor applications without the need for additional coverings. And it's a labor and time saver for installation. As I mentioned before, that endothermic technology releases chemically bound water about 600 degrees Fahrenheit to create that cooling environment. So you can see here on the picture, if you have a fire environment outside, that chemically bound water is going to keep the cables inside of your wrap at a much lower temperature. So it's going to allow those cables to operate even in the event of a fire. Unfortunately, we don't have the time today to go through all of these installation videos, but keep in mind, we do have multiple installation and other reference materials available on our 3M website, including how to install the material on cable tray, on conduit, and we even have a really great video that compares the installation time needed between EMAT and cementitious cementitious spray applied fireproofing on steel structural members. That 3M Interim Endothermic Mat has been around for over 40 years in the industry and has been tested to lots of different standards for different applications in the field. So you can be rest assured that it is a tried and true solution for the industry. So a few applications and where you would see this material specified on building projects. For commercial buildings, you're looking at commercial protection, whether those cables are routed through trays or conduits. They could be servicing fire pumps or emergency power, critical communication circuits, backup power, emergency ventilation. Not every electrical system is going to require this level of protection in a building, but if you do have a system in your building that needs to operate during a fire, this is the product to be used. Also, steel membrane boxes, we'll talk about those in a little bit in more detail, fuel oil lines, and structural steel. So first, as I mentioned before, not every electrical system is going to need this level of protection, but when you're looking at systems that need to operate in the event of an emergency, think control rooms, ventilation, emergency response systems, lighting, elevators, and then specialty components, so conduit and controls that are servicing those critical pieces of equipment. You need to keep them operational. to make sure that there's a safe and orderly evacuation, or that systems are able to continue to operate in the event of an emergency as they're designed. Steel membrane box penetration. So anytime you see a large metal object installed in a wall that is rated, it doesn't matter what it's servicing, it does need to be protected, and it does need to be able to provide both an equal temperature and fire rating. And we can provide protection for boxes that are up to 20 inches wide by 48 inches tall by maximum 6 inches deep. So just with this one product, it doesn't matter what the box is being used for. If it's in a rated wall, we can provide protection. And then for fuel oil line protection, this is a relatively new system and code requirement. It got adopted in the 2015 version of the IBC and the IFC for piping protective systems. So again, we're thinking critical building systems that need to operate in the event of an emergency. These are servicing typically power generators that are routed through the building, and providing the fuel from tanks that are either inside of the building or outside of the building, and feeding those generators, routing through the building itself. Structural steel protection. This requirement has been around for a long time, but oftentimes, especially if you're dealing with renovation projects, you might not be able to access the steel members and with the spray equipment required for traditional fireproofing materials. That is where our EMAT can really stand out as an option. It's a much cleaner solution. It's a much lower clearance or lower thickness of material that needs to be applied for protection. It can also be used, and we have testing that demonstrates compatibility with both intumescent paints as well as typical spray applied fireproofing. And keep just kind of a little nugget in there, the structural steel protection requirement test standard is ASTM E119 for traditional commercial buildings. It's designed to keep the steel temperature below 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit on average. And depending on the size of your steel and the number of hourly protection that's required, you can adjust the amount of EMAT that's applied to achieve the level of rating that's needed. So it's a really nice, flexible product to use. All right, these next couple of slides might be a little bit of an eye chart. However, I'm also not going to make sure that you memorize them, but this is just to give you an idea of the code sections that are mandating this level of protection in your buildings. So for electrical systems, both the International Building Code and National Electrical Code have certain call outs where fire protection is required on those specific building systems. And then for structural steel, membrane protection, and fuel oil systems as well, those are those code sections that are relevant for this level of protection. All right, and finally, we're going to talk a little bit about heavy industrial applications, primarily oil and gas. So if you're in an area where you have refineries or liquefied natural gas systems or facilities, or you have an interest in pursuing heavy industrial jobs, this material EMAT is still very relevant and has been used for decades in this industry as well. And you can see here just a laundry list of applications of where EMAT can be used on those jobs. Again, for piping specifically, it can be used to protect combustible or dangerous liquids. We already talked about on the commercial building side, also true on the industrial side as well. can be used, a lot of those same applications for commercial side, but even in the industrial side, where temperatures are more extreme. We've tested EMAT to those higher extreme fire exposures, and we can demonstrate product performance that we can protect those critical assets, even in the event of a hydrocarbon type fire exposure. And again, the requirement and the intent is to protect the wrapped item from that fire exposure in the environment. So that's a lot of information on where you can use these materials, where they would be helpful and can be specified on a job site. I want to share with you just a few additional, a few additional resources that are available to you with 3M to help support you when you're looking at those opportunities and areas. So first is our application engineering staff for technical service and help. So Zach and myself are both 3M application engineers with industry experience. We also have a UL and Intertech approved test facility to help continue to innovate those new opportunities for special applications and development of those systems that you need in the field. We also can provide CAD support, and we do really fast engineering judgment turnaround for you for specific applications that don't have a listed system available. We also have several digital resources available on our 3M Firestop website. The first is our system selector and submittal wizard. So you can look for a specific system for your application and even pull out those systems that are going to be relevant for a certain job and generate a project-specific submittal for those applications. We also have a specifiers guide and full line catalog available to you if you are looking at an opportunity but don't have the information available to know exactly what you're going to need. You can look at our full portfolio of solutions both on the product side and the system side. Also available to you are our fire protection specialists. These are people who have been in the industry for a good long while, have seen what's out there, and are here for you to connect with, and they can help identify those solutions that you're going to need for those opportunities. So depending on where you are in the United States, this is your person to connect with. They're a great first resource to help you understand what information you're going to need to know to support your project. And we also have another list of specialists available in Canada for those jobs as well. And then if you need to, if you're not sure who to reach out to your DI person and they can get you connected, or you can reach out on our 3M Fire Protection website and we can get you connected with the right specialist. We also have other training opportunities available, so we thank you for your time in joining us today, and hopefully you found this helpful. We do have online training available, as well as additional webinars available that your sales rep can connect you with. And we're also looking to return to hands-on training in the future as well for installers understanding how to apply and use the 3M fire protection materials correctly. So with that, hopefully you've learned, hopefully you've increased your awareness of the portfolio of solutions that 3M has to provide. You learned a little bit about our flexible wrap applications and which products you're going to resort to for those areas, specifically grease ducts, HVAC ducts, and electrical circuitry. Those are probably the three biggest areas of opportunity that we're seeing in the field today. Hopefully you now know how to select the appropriate system, or at least what questions you need to ask to find those systems. and you can speak to your customers knowledgeably about using the system nomenclature or the system names that are applicable for their applications. So one last nugget that I just wanted to leave you with today before we turn the floor over to any questions you may have is that 3M fire barrier solution opportunities exist throughout the building. So whatever your building project opportunity that you're looking for, there's likely a 3M fire barrier solution for you. So with that, thank you all so much for your time and attention today, and want to turn it over to your questions.
Yes, so we're now moving into the Q&A section of our presentation here. So any attendees, if you'll please put your Q&A questions in the Q&A tab at the top of the control panel. Okay, we got one from Julie. She asked if we can send a copy of the presentation. Yes, I will. I will send out a copy of the recorded presentation. And then from John, we have he's willing to give a Yeti cooler to the first 5 DI account managers to schedule a joint call on our wrap products with the contractor and a 3M rep. Who's interested? Don't miss out on your opportunity.
With that one, I'm sure I can get Caroline's support. But if you do make those calls, just please have the 3M rep send me an email. And we'll put a timeline, in the next 45 days, let's put a timeline out there for that. But does that interest you guys?
I think it sounds great. Just while we wait for some more questions to hopefully come in, I want to remind you that DI provides this platform as a way for manufacturing partners to share information with customers about their products and solutions. And we're proud to partner with leading manufacturers like 3M. And we thank Sam and Zach for an excellent presentation today. I don't think we're
so much for setting this up.
Yeah, of course. I don't see any more questions. So with that, I appreciate everyone's time, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.